is shackled to the offside towing eye. The cable is placed into the snatch block and the snatch secured. The tank thus makes an excellent holdfast. By now, along the offside of the tank, all gun planks will have been positioned. They are evenly spaced along the length of the track and inserted well under to prevent the track digging in and to enable it to start riding along the planks. The next job for these two men is to attach the ends of the Mark IV hawser to the front and rear of the tank. They take the front end first and attach it to the single towing eye. Quick release shackles on the Mark IV hawser make this rapid and easy. Now, how are the others getting on with the track? By the simple method of attaching that GS snatch block to the tank, passing the cable round it, the track is winched into its final position. It wasn't even necessary to move the Scammell. How's that for a good line? Now you remember that one end of the Mark IV hawser has been shackled to the front towing eye of the tank. The other end is taken to the rear, where it is attached to the near side towing eye. To lengthen this end of the hawser, the offside shackle is used as an additional link. Remember this with a Churchill, there are two rear towing eyes, one on either side, but in the front, only one in the center. This difference in position is partially adjusted by this additional shackle on the rear rope, which has the effect of lengthening it, and by skidding under the front rope, thus shortening it. So they have compensated for the different towing eye positions. The line of pull is thus brought central, a very important point. Now you see the result. Here is the apex in dead center of the tank. Without the skidding and extra shackle, this is where it would have been, much too far to the rear, so the tank would have slewed during winching. Equally important is the use of protective skidding to prevent damaging the tank by lifting the hawsers clear of the sand guards and other soft parts of the tank. We want to pull it out, not apart. Now to get cracking on the snatch blocks. With the apex central, one 15-ton snatch block is shackled direct to it with a 20-ton plate-type shackle. How's the job going? Well, the track's lined up, shackling is proceeding, and the tractor is free to take up its winching position, ready to tackle the real job. As a 5-to-1 tackle is going to be laid down, the tractor must not be more than about 75 feet from the casualty. There wouldn't be sufficient winch rope, and it doesn't stretch. Once in position, down must go the skid pans. The tractor must be anchored for winching a job of this size. Now, what equipment do we need at this tractor end? Well, this is how the completed layout will look. First, there's a 4-in-line holdfast anchoring a GS snatch block. In front of this is laid a 3-in-line holdfast attached to a 15-ton snatch block. This equipment is offloaded. We want a set of 4 holdfasts and pins, together with a GS snatch block at the rear of the layout. To the front, a set of 3 holdfasts and a 15-ton snatch block. Both sets of holdfasts are shackled to their respective snatch blocks and held with 1 pin only until they've been lined up, after which the remaining pins will be driven in. You can see that the holdfasts have been laid just far enough away from the tractor to ensure that the winch rope will not foul it during winching. By the way, what's happening at the casualty end? The other 2 men are completing shackling the 2 15-ton snatch blocks. The work goes on simultaneously because equipment was unloaded where it was needed. This crew used their heads and saved their legs. And now for the final stage of the 5-to-1, hauling out the winch rope. So with the winch brake off and applied manpower, out it comes. Now it's no use having a winch rope all wound out and nowhere to go. We'll follow its journey with the aid of both picture and diagram. Now watch this. Out it comes from the tractor, and then to the 15-ton snatch block nearest the tank. It is passed round the snatch block. From here, the cable runs back to the tractor end, to the GS snatch block, which incidentally is drawn oversize to show the cable lines more distinctly. This is the snatch block attached to the 4-in-line holdfast. Again, the cable is placed in the snatch block and run back towards the casualty. This time, it runs to the second 15-ton snatch block. Once more, the winch rope is returned towards the tractor end to the block anchored by the 3-in-line holdfast. This 15-ton snatch block is the last bend in the road, for the winch rope returns finally towards the casualty. Here it is shackled with a 12-ton shackle to the eye of the last snatch block. And so the 5-to-1 layout is completed with, as you can see, each holdfast held by one pin only. The required pull, including frictional loss, is approximately 35 tons. Our tractor can give us only 8 tons. So that's why a 5-to-1 tackle is needed. With this tackle, the casualty can be winched slowly. On a broadside recovery like this, winch control is most important. By using a 5-to-1, we've geared down so that for every 5 feet of cable winched in, the tank will move only 1 foot. It's like using a gearbox. The greater the load or gradient, the lower the gear necessary. Is that layout quite clear now? Like to have one last lingering look at it? It's known as a simple 5-to-1 because the one winch rope is used throughout the entire layout. Being a 5-to-1, it must have 5 lines or returns of cable running back from the casualty. Here they are, 1 to the tractor, 2 anchored by the GS snatch block shackled to 4 holdfasts, and the other 2 returns to the 15-ton snatch block shackled to 3 holdfasts. This is a fine layout, but has it been correctly lined up? A good guide is the rear towing hook. If the winch rope leaves the rollers directly over the hook, then your tractor has been correctly positioned. This lining up is vital, and to a good crew is as natural as lining up for pay parade. With everything ready for winching, the crew have no need to cross their fingers when the tackle takes the strain. To check all skidding and shackling is an essential precaution before winching. Once the casualty is moving, we don't want a hitch when it's halfway out. It wouldn't be too easy to get it moving again. With the ready and winch in given and relayed, the tackle takes the strain. It's gently that does it. Under no circumstances snatch it. Soon the near side bogies that were embedded in the gully are lifted. You remember, by lifting the bogies, the Churchill will be able to slide along the skidding. As its offside track starts sliding along the gun planks, these move with it until the weight is squarely on them. It's like the broadside launching of a ship, except that this one's coming out and not going in. The gun planks still preventing the offside track from digging in the tank continues to slide well clear of the gully. Sliding stops only when, having ridden right off the gun planks, the offside track digs in. Now the continued winching pulls up the near side. The tank has been hauled onto level ground and the near side bogies have been lifted well clear, ready for hauling the cast-off track underneath. Before moving the track, there's that broken plate to be replaced. Spares are carried on the side of the tank. This is just a question of removing the old plate and replacing it with the new. We can't use the tractor winch for hauling the track. It has a full-time job holding up the tank. So a portable winch is positioned and its cable run out along and under the near side bogies. Its eye is taken to the track end and attached with a track pin. With the cable thus attached, the portable winch is soon in operation and the track moves on its slow but sure way. A crowbar keeps the moving track in dead line with the bogies. The front idler sprocket is slacked off in preparation for joining the track. When the end of the track reaches the front bogie, winching stops and the cable is unshackled. This is its final position when it is ready for the tank to be lowered by the winch brake so that its bogies are dropped onto the track. There's an alternative method of doing this, so we'll go back to where the tank was held up and the track was still at its rear. Now this time, jacks are used. The tank being held by the layout only until the jacks are positioned, one at the rear and one at the front. These are pumped until they take the weight of the tank. When they're well up, the handles are removed and the layout is slackened off. The near side of the tank is now solely supported by jacks, which in turn are squarely supported on skidding. With the 5-to-1 tackle dismantled, the tractor can now be moved and used to haul the cast-off track under those bogies. The tractor is positioned in front of the tank and in line with the near side bogies. The winch rope is hauled out under the bogies and attached to the track. This time, you'll notice how much faster the track is winched. This method could not, of course, be used if the ground were too soft to support the jacks and skidding. Here it is once more under the front bogie, ready for the jacks to lower the tank onto it. Now the winch rope is passed over the front and rear sprockets and shackled to the other end of the track. At this point, one man must jump in the driver's seat to free the near side sprocket. Now the top run of the track can be hauled into position. You can see the ease with which this heavy track is hauled over the rear sprocket, along the track guides and out over the front idler. With all slack picked up at the rear, the halt is given. The track is now made or rejoined. The track pin is punched through and secured by anvils and keepers. When the idler sprocket is adjusted to tension the track, it is locked and the sprocket guard replaced and screwed down. That's all right for the near side track, but what about the offside? Nice work, Corporal. This track, digging into the ground during winching, was pushed back onto its bogies. Now then, what have we learned from this recovery? First, to recover a casualty broadside, using a 5-to-1 tackle. Second, to support the tank with a layout while its track is positioned with a portable winch. Third, to support the tank with jacks while its track is positioned with a tractor winch. A good crew always has a last look round before the tank, a casualty no longer, is handed over to its crew. Then, of course, there's their own equipment to be stowed in readiness for the next job. And so the REME crew is off. They've done a good job and shown us how recovery equipment should be used. The Churchill, now completely recovered, is ready for action again.